Hey guys, today on Hook, the Kayak Anglers Resource, we have Chad Brock from Jackson. Let's get into it. Hey guys, so you all know JT. Welcome, buddy.
I'm excited for today. We got Chad from Jackson Kayak, and we're just going to talk all thing Jackson Kayaks and what kind of makes them unique and special, and just kind of run through some of their models.
Excellent. Chad, why don't you tell people who you are, and we'll kind of get it started.
All right, man. Well, I'm Chad Brock. I'm from Jackson Kayak. I work in part of the marketing department as well as social media management, brand group, and all the different things at Jackson Kayak. And obviously, one of the other things I'm part of is the Jackson Kayak Trail. Help manage that and keep that going. So lots of fun things at Jackson Kayak that I do. I call it the arts and crafts department, to be honest with you guys, because I feel like I'm always doing a little bit of this and doing a little bit of that and coming up with this. And it feels like it's moving, but it keeps it very interesting all day long.
So Chad, what kayak are you fishing out of right now?
Man, that's a loaded question.
Okay, which one's your favorite?
I've got a few. I've actually got two favorites that I'm dealing with right now. So for river fishing, it is obviously the Coosa X. I've really grown to love and like that boat a lot. Just the way that it moves, the things it does on the river. It's just a really great paddle setup. I keep it a paddle setup because I still like to get out there and paddle on the river. And then for big water, I am a Knarr guy. Actually, I've really adapted to and love the Knarr. It's my sports car. I like the way, again, that it moves. It's just a really unique hull shape that fits my style of fishing very, very, very well.
We were talking off camera too, and that's why I was like, I got to learn how to hit record a little sooner. But you were talking about Travis. You'd mentioned like the lineage of Jackson, and Chad, you were kind of talking about how unique the hull shapes are to each. So Travis, maybe kind of talk about what you started in and how long that goes back.
Yeah, Jackson's very near and dear to my heart because that's what I started in. 6 years ago, a buddy of mine let me borrow a kayak, a Jackson Kilroy. I've told the story before, took it over into a cove that's well known for crappie and started crappie fishing, 6-pound test, little crappie rod, caught an 18-pound striper, and fought it like mad and was just hooked on the sport. Loved it. Was not a big fan of I like the Kilroy's cool. I really didn't like I wasn't the hybrid guy with the kind of a sit-in style. So I knew I wanted to go to something else. So I bought a Jackson Bite. I've had it for years. Absolutely love the thing. My opinion, best hull ever made for the river. But I love it. I got a chance to get into big rig several times. Loved the big rig. And off camera, we were talking. The Knarr, to me, I like the big rig better. And I think a lot of people did. Jackson, being, listening to their customer, brought it back. Now you have the option. You can do either or. And so that's kind of my experience. I've had a Jackson kayak for pretty much all my Jackson or all my kayaking adventures. I love the thing. Kids got them. Just a great kayak. And the lineage is, we talk about the amount of people that are just Jackson people that come in and say, I want a Mayfly or I want a Liska or, and which are great kayaks. But everybody rotates and goes through. And I think one thing Jackson's done, Chad, that I really appreciate, and I think the customers respect, is like with the big rig, they're not afraid to bring something back if the audience is there for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And to talk about the lineage just a little bit, I mean, it's really unique, I think, and that's one of the things that make our true Jackson customers really stand apart from, maybe some of the rest out there. But, the Coosa guys they're diehard Coosa guys. Just like the Liska is like one of the coolest, perfect examples. It was a boat that when it first came out, people were because it and the Bite kind of came out around that same time period, and they kind of were back and forth. Like you wanted hatches, you didn't want hatches, but as the Liska has gone away, you've seen an uprising of that Liska's heritage. People that want it, people that absolutely do anything they can to find one. I've got two still that I hold on to. They don't see the water much anymore, but they're setting back for a very special day. I call it, they're my retirement boats because I love them so much. But yeah, I mean, the big rig, you know, just like the Coosa, has an incredible heritage, an incredible group of users that are passionate about that boat and the way that that boat moves across the water. And I think that really speaks a lot to the hull design and the user experience that when people get these boats, they take it out, they put it in that that boat is made for, and then that's the boat. They just, nothing ever feels the same way that hull shape does on that specific body of water that they want to tackle.
Yeah, and you just said something, Chad, that kind of resonated as well, is what that boat is used for. So what I've seen Jackson do that I really like, and not all the companies do it, is instead of making a boat that is just river, it's a boat that can be used in multiple different fashions. I mean, as you know, the rivers here are considerably different than the rivers in Tennessee or wherever. We deal with a lot of shallows. So, having the big rig that is your big bass guys love that boat, but then it's also set up for a fly rod or your fly fisherman. We're right down the road here from Bennett Springs, and this is a working shop. You may hear the door dinging or a phone ring, and because I'm in the heat of it, but we're right down the road from Bennett Springs. It's a huge trout fishery. Well, that's where my mayfly guys come from. I mean, they want a mayfly because that was known as, if you're a fly fisherman and you want a kayak, the mayfly is built for you. And I think that was very cool. And some of those, as those boats come in and out, I just think it's neat that Jackson, with your R&D or just the research you guys do on trying to build a boat that'll work for a specific purpose, not just a river boat or a big water boat. You guys kind of field all levels of that. If you want to take a Coosa and put a bow mount on it, and fish finders and all that, you could turn that could be a big water boat as well. I mean, you can do things with it, but and this is the one thing that honestly I feel like Jackson is probably more prevalent than most companies, is the bite can be a big water boat, but where it really shines is the river. And the Coosa X, you can turn it into a big water boat, it'll be just fine. But where it really shines is get it in that skinny water.
Yeah, and I think you alluded to it perfectly with the bite. The bite is something that, man, it caters to the bite and the bite FD for that matter. They really cater to a wide group of people with their capabilities, because you can come in bare bones and still have a phenomenal fishing experience in the bite. You can go as it comes out of the factory, throw a paddle on it, throw 4 plain old boxes right there in the little trays, a couple fishing rods. You're set for a lot of people, a lot of new and up and coming kayakers. That's enough. That's all they want, especially people that are just going to be out for 2, 3, 4 hours and not fish an 8-hour day. Now you take the bite and you look at the possibilities that it has. You can add a lot of stuff, especially with a lot of the accessories that we've got now. With the tri-track, you can add tri-track across the front of it. You can add the under seat bag, throw a crate in the back, and all of a sudden you've got something that's tournament ready and a phenomenal little tournament boat. I mean, big water, does it shine as well? Probably not, but you can still find a place on most bodies of water to engage in and be part of a kayak fishing tournament, especially the way that they're formatted, with being able to go to random ramps around the lake. So a bite still has the capability to shine in almost every environment that's out there, which is really very unique to that specific boat.
Well, especially the cost of goods these days. The one thing nice about the bite is it's a minimalist boat if you want it to be. But the way that with the cost of goods now, it's hard to have a lake boat and a river boat and put what you want into those boats. It's nice that you guys have boats that can be both for that particular angler. If he wants a boat that, listen, he's going to go do lakes once a month on tournaments, but what he really wants is a boat that he goes in 3 days a week on the river. That could be the same boat and you're fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And until like the Coosa X is the same way. I mean, you alluded to it there at the very start. You can throw a bow mount on there, and with the way bow mounts work, I mean, pull lever, unplug it, it's off. You don't need it anymore, and you've got your river boat back. So, just that diversity that those two specific boats have, and they're light enough and easy enough that you can throw them in a truck bed. You don't really need a trailer, and it makes them super cool as far as what all you can do with those boats.
It's pretty neat because you can see, it's not like some of the bigger, crazier boats that are out there right now. Like a Jackson Bite, you could see one on the water with dual monitors, forward-facing sonar, a bow mount motor, boondocks, landing gear on it. It could be loaded out, or you could see 12 of them stacked up behind somebody's garage because it's their weekenders, thing. And it kind of fits everything in between those two people. The people who just want to float, or the people who just want to throw it on their dock for when their grandkids come. The Bite is perfect for that. But then if you want to build it, it's totally riggable. And I love the boat. And that pretty much follows the Jackson lineup. I mean, you could go out with a big rig or a Coosa X, really any of them, and go out just the way the boat comes to you and catch fish and have a great time. But they're all buildable.
Yeah. And I think that's really cool about kayak fishing in general.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I wouldn't even step back. So the only Jackson I've had a chance to is right now I have possession of a Jackson Cruise, which I know is a little bit more of an in-between boat, pleasure boat with some fishing features. But I'm blown away by like how fast and responsive. I don't think I've ever been in a more responsive kayak when it comes to turning. So I was like, would you say that's pretty applicable to all of them? Because we were talking about you mentioned the big rig and how it moves across the water. I'm someone that doesn't really plan on adding a motor because I like the exercise aspect of it. Like,
same.
I was controlling the big rig as far as when you pedal it. Sometimes, those big ones can be hard to move, but so far I've been really impressed by Jackson's hull shape. So does that one move across the water pretty well without a motor?
Yeah, so I mean, for me, I've stayed non-motorized. I mean, not that motors amazing, and some of the technology that's coming. I mean, we've got Minn Kota's getting ready to drop their first kayak motor. A lot of the guys had motor guides for years. You've got Power Pole's got a awesome trolling motor that the Move that's got a 36-inch shaft now that you don't really see it a lot yet, but it's out there. And then obviously Torpedo and Newport, the stuff that they've brought to the table has been phenomenal. But for me, I look at it as a person that works for Jackson Kayak. I can't tell you that it's the best unless I abuse the time out of it. So I've kind of stayed human powered and abused the flex drive to every ounce of my being that I can. It's used on a weekly basis. But to talk about how the boats get up and go, I mean, when you look at that entire lineup of FD boats, they're all very unique. Like the Bite FD, man, it like with that flex drive Mark IV on that boat, you can be in pretty fast current, and that boat will absolutely crawl up a river. It is incredible what that boat does. As far as an FD boat goes, it is a fun river FD boat. And same thing with the Coosa FD. That boat right there has a lot flatter bottom to it, and it does the same. It crawls up there on a river just like the Bite does, but it's a little bit slower maybe than the Bite. I mean, they all have different speeds, it seems like the Knarr. I think when a person gets in a Knarr versus some of the others, they feel the difference of that hull shape right out of the gate. Once they start pedaling, they feel the bow start to rise, and it's like, oh, this thing's going to get on plane or something. You feel it rise, and you feel it start to move forward, and it's got a really fast hull shot. The big rig, for example, it it's maybe not got the fastest hole shot, but what we found is it'll hang. So when you're out there pedaling and the Knarr will lunge forward, but the big rig never loses its cadence back behind the Knarr because it's so wide, it's got different displacement, but it's got more volume in the front. So that lets that boat just kind of keep right up. And, all of them react differently, which is a very neat thing, but all of them are equally as smooth. And I think the cool thing, just to kind of keep on the flex drive, is the fact that you can tuck it up underneath there. And, you basically have 4-wheel drive in a boat. So if you want to go through a super shallow area or you've got a super grassy area, you can grab that paddle and flip that drive up with your foot or your hand or whatever you want to do. Man, you just keep going. The boats paddle like extremely well. I think that's one of the things that gets kind of lost about our FD boats is just how good a boat like the Coosa FD paddles. I mean, it's incredible. The big rig paddles like a big rig. I mean, it's nuts what they do.
You mentioned.
I think that. Oh, sorry, JT. We keep talking to each other here. I think that the biggest thing that I notice is, and I've been in most all of them, and your big rig and your Knarr are going to paddle or paddle very similar to a Titan X, a PA-14, things like that. They're right in there. In fact, the Knarr is quicker. And then when you start talking about your bites, you're going to start talking about more like your Slayers and things like that a little faster. Now, I think the whole design on the bite makes it just the best boat ever. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is that I tell people all the time, and I deal with them all day long. I tell people that I feel like Jackson is the only one who made a drive system that really caters to skinny water. You can bring that up into the hull. It makes it easier for loading the kayak. It makes it easier for keeping, not breaking props. It's just that the way that's designed. Now I am unlucky enough that, or old enough, I should say, my bite has the chain driven drive. That was a huge upgrade by you guys to go belt driven. The new drive is so much better. So I think that when it comes to what you're talking about, JT, hull size means more than any of it when it comes to how that thing's going to handle. But for the size of boat that the big rig and the Knarr are, they are in the top of the class. Yeah,
you brought up
the Knarr's going to turn a little bit better just because of the way that the hull shape's designed. It's made to do that. The big rig is going to turn a little bit slower. It still turns well, especially with the new rudders that we've come out with. But, as far as spinning on a dime, the Knarr's going to bank, just because of the way that the hull's made. Whereas the big rig's going to lay a lot flatter and kind of come around. So that's kind of one of the differences, I think, in the turning radiuses and how they react.
And the big rig, if you're a big water guy, I mean, you can just walk through here and not even know what brands are what, and look at the big rig and go, "That's probably the safest boat in the building," because it looks like it's made, to leave the shore of California and paddle on out to Hawaii. I mean, it looks like it's made for that.
Yeah, I was going to say you brought up a couple of points that I definitely wanted to get to. Was I think my favorite thing with the one Jackson I've had and why I want to try other ones is the flex drive. I fish in a lot of weedy areas. I'll go after like northern pike here in Minnesota, but I'm always fishing weed lines. And one of the coolest things is the ability to pull that prop up, open the hatch, and take the weeds off and redeploy it. In any other one, it's quite the ordeal to flip up your entire pedal drive and clean it off and deploy it. Or even when you start to get to shallow areas like rocks or weeds or stumps and you hit them, you're just stuck. I don't know, the whole kick up idea of a prop drive and the way it folds up, and I don't know, maybe I'm not even supposed to do this, but you could even do like a half deploy in shallower water to still skim. So that's and you also brought up moving upriver with a pedal drive, because I will say one of the barriers as a solo angler is how do you shuttle? Do you have somebody pick you up and take you back to your car? Do you paddle upriver and float back to your car? And that can be a lot of work very quickly. So having a pedal drive that can kind of go a little bit shallower and go upriver, then you just get to float back to your car and go home. So
Yeah, the JT, that's one thing that I think is good for the viewers to know as well, that drive, the flex drive, it doesn't just have up and down, which is most kayaks. You have, it's either in the water or it's out of the water. It has stages. So you have 3 levels. So you can put it as low as you want to go. If you're coming in shallower water, it has the next step up. You can just drop it up 1 notch, and now you're semi-shallow, and then you can bring it all the way up into the hole. So it's adjustable to be able to, meet the surroundings.
Yeah, very much. And that's, that's one of the, and you said, keeps you from breaking a prop. I mean, I've been using the flex drive for a long time now, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I knock on wood, I have not broke a prop yet. I've hit some trees pretty hard, and I have yet to break a prop. So, it's saved me several long paddles back just because of that kick up, as you're cruising along and hit something. I mean, it makes a big difference. Well, and the best part of it is at the end of the day, your deck space doesn't change. So that view that you've got in your kayak with that Mark IV in there, it never changes. So if you need to kick it up, you don't have a hole. You don't have a drive laying somewhere, or you don't have an open area. Your workspace stays the same. Now you can flip up the little hatch door, which is, so big, and man, you clean it out, shut that door right back, and your deck space is the same. You never have to worry about losing a fish out of a hole or anything like that. It's just there. Your workspace never changes, and I think that speaks volumes to what the flex drive brings to the table, especially as an angler. I mean, there's always a lot of stuff going on in kayak fishing, especially when you're trying to land a fish and you've got 3 or 4 extra rods laying around. And man, just to have that space where there's no hole, nothing that you've got to worry about, that's huge.
Yeah, and just to push on your testimonial, Chad, you're one guy that's never had been in that drive more than probably most would be, and you haven't done it. You haven't had to order a prop. We deal with thousands of people, and I don't know if we've ever ordered a prop for someone ever for a FD.
It's crazy.
I mean, just never needed one.
Not saying that it can't happen. You can sideswipe a tree pretty easy, but man, it's crazy that it just been lucky. It hasn't happened. And like I said, I took the guys from Wired to Fish out when we was getting ready to relaunch the big rig. And one of the things that I took them over to a set of laydowns, and I said, as fast as you can go all the way through there. There's like, how are we going to get over all that stuff with the thing hanging down? I said, just hit it. And Jason Sealock, he ran through there and just busted that drive as hard as he could off of a laydown log and kicked right up. He kept going, pushed it down, pedaled up to the next one, hit the next one, and just kept on going all the way down through the laydowns. And, that's a great feature, man. It really sets it apart from what everybody else has got going on.
Yeah, and the other thing about it too is you mentioned how easy they are to paddle. Like when you any other kind of pedal drive, if you lift that up and out, now you've got that big open hole that's just sloshing water around. So you say you hit shallow water and you need to switch to paddling. Well, now your drive is up and you're paddling and you're sloshing all that water up in that 8 to 12 inch hole that's there. Well, in a Jackson, you just put the prop up, and like you said, it's closed. So 1, you're dragging less water when you have to paddle, and 2, you're keeping your cockpit dry too, which, I just went out after ice out and the water temps were still reading at 42 degrees. So in that case, keeping your, cockpit area dry is way more important than in the summer. Maybe it's not a big deal, but just all little cool perks that you don't think about, but make a huge difference for how you enjoy yourself on the water.
One thing I do with mine quite a bit. Yeah, one thing I do with mine quite a bit is that drive is a 2-piece. So sometimes I'll be going out. I know the water's skinny. I know that I'm probably, I'm just going to throw in, float down to the next. I don't really need the pedal drive. I just don't take the top part, which is a lot of weight. So, if you decide you're going to go and you're not going to need your pedal drive, that's, the Jackson bite. If you don't have the pedal drive, you don't have this big gaping hole in the middle. You're still fine. You can do whatever you need to do with that kayak. It's ready.
Yeah, I actually filmed with Robert Field a couple years ago, and we went into an old quarry hole here locally in town, and I had the Coosa, and I did Coosa FD, and I didn't, there was no need for a drive. We weren't going to be going far enough, and there was so grassy. I mean, so stumpy, wasn't going to be able to really utilize the pedal drive. So I just popped the top part off, left it in the truck, and grabbed my paddle and pulled the rudder. And I think that's another thing, if you don't want to have that rudder on there and, you're just going to float down and back, you don't think you need it, you can pop one pin, leave it in the truck too. So kind of gotten rid of all that stuff, and man, you're good to go. And you've got a bungee that locks down the dagger board, so you don't have to worry about it falling down on you as well, I think, which is huge.
We appreciate it, Chad, and it's things like this, you guys get involved with us that make good partnerships, and at the end of the day, it's just the best for the consumer because we're all on the same page trying to get the best product we can to them.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it, Chad. Thanks for hopping on here and talking through some of the Jackson models, and then really kind of the traits that make them shine. Like, I can't wait to get in a few more, and I might be a part of the Jackson family here shortly. So I appreciate your time.
Sounds good.
And check out Jackson models. Well, I'll have a bunch of links up in the bottom of this podcast, and I'll share Chad's info too, and look forward to seeing everybody out there on the water.
We go visit shop.com or come into the Lake of the Ozarks store and see us. Chad, thank you, buddy. Good to meet you.